as a percent off means 50%. But this is only 0.5%.
Now, half of a percentage means half times 100. Half percent means half all over 100. So for half as a percentage, which means half times 100, all you do is 2 here, 1, 2 in 100 is 50 because 2 in 10, 5, 2 in 0, 0 equals to 50. So this is half as a percentage, 50%. But if I say half percent, which is different from this, it means half all over 100. So this 2 has to come down. It becomes 1 over 2 times 100. Remember, when you have 1 over 2 all over 100, this 2 can be dropped down. It becomes 1 all over 2 times 100, which equals 1 all over 200. Another way I could do this is in fraction. What if I want to give it in decimal? 1 over 2 over 100. 1 over 2 is the same thing as 0.5. As you can write it as 0.5 all over 100. And what is 0.5 all over 100? You're moving by 2 decimal places backward. 1, 2, because there are 2 zeros. So divide means backward. To do 0.5 divided by 100?
Shetima, move decimal points backward twice.
Shetima, move decimal points backward twice.
If it were to be multiplied, you're going forward, but because it's over 100, you're going backward twice. 1, 2. So a new point is here. So we can rewrite this as 0.005. You see? 0.005. 0.005. So there is a difference between half percent, which is 0.005 or 1 all over 200, and half as a percentage, which is 50%.
Shetima, move decimal points backward twice.
Shetima, move decimal points backward twice.
This one says, what is 35% of 2 naira? 35% means 35 over 100 of means times this 2. You don't write it as, you write it as just 2, because when you're calculating this point means that it's the same thing that's written as 2. Okay, when you're calculating this same as 2, so it's 35 over 100 times 2. Now we want to cancel. What is common between a numerator and denominator? You pick a numerator and denominator, and then you cancel through. 5 in 35 is 7 because 5 times 7 is 35. 5 in 100 is 20 because 5 in 10 is 2. 5 times 2, 10. 5 in 0 is 0. You're left with 7 and 20. So 7 can no longer have anything common thing to do with 20. You look at the other side. This is 2 and 20. Of course, something can go. You have 2, you have 20. So 2 here, 1. 2 in 20 is 10. So what you're left at the numerator, you're left with 7 times 1, 7 all over. Denominator, you're left with 10, which is what you have here. Now remember that 7 over 10 can be written as 0.7. Why can it be written as 0.7? Yeah, because if you're changing from fraction to decimal, remember that 7 is a whole number. So 7, you write it as 7 points because every whole number has an invisible point in front of it.
Every whole number has a hidden decimal point.
So, since it has an invincible point, 7 can be written as 7 points. So, how many zeros have you got at the denominator? You got 1 0. So, you just shift it backward by 1. You shift the decimal point backward 1 time. If it were 100, you shift it 2 times. If it were 1,000, you would have shifted it 1, 2, 3. But this is just 10 and has 1 0. So, it's going back 1 time. And this is the new position of our point, becomes 0.7, and this is why we have 0.7 at 0.7.
Every whole number has a hidden decimal point.
And then you remember that 0.7 is the same thing as, you can write it as 0.70. If you like, you can write it as 0.700. It's still the same thing. This 0 is useless. It's still the same thing as 0.7, but because the money we're dealing with is in 2 decimal places, Since Naira and Kobo is in 2 decimal places, you write it as 0.70. You 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place. That's why it's 0.70. Otherwise, it's the same thing as writing 0.7, 0.700, whatever zeros you want to put in front of it. This one says a car travels at an average speed of